सब्सक्राइब करें, प्रेस करें बेल आइकॉन और पाएं मुंबई, नवी मुंबई एवं बॉलीवुड की ताजा तरीन खबरें।
In conversation with us today, we have the man who perhaps has the most difficult task at the moment in Navi Mumbai. IAS officer and Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation Commissioner Abhijit Bangar, appointed just a few weeks ago, will answer questions in regards to Navi Mumbai's COVID-19 situation in an exclusive talk with NMTV. Good afternoon, sir. So what is your take on the rising coronavirus infections in Navi Mumbai?
If we consider COVID situation presently in Navi Mumbai Corporation area, we have around 4,000 active cases, and the percentage of active cases have been increasing over the period of last few weeks. Daily now we are getting around more than 300 cases on an average. There are various reasons for increase in number of positive cases, confirmed positive cases. First of all, I'd like to say over the period of last 3 weeks, we have ramped up our testing capacity in a large number. So daily we are testing more than 2,500 samples now, and that is one of the reasons why we are finding more confirmed positive cases. And but number of positive patients or number of active patients should not be only considered to be a criteria to understand the situation of COVID in a particular area. We need to look at other statistics as well, like case positivity ratio or case fatality ratio, which are very important, by the way. So in terms of case fatality and case positivity ratio, I would say we are showing improvement. Case positivity ratio overall was 35%, which has come down to around, that has come below 30% now, as well as the case fatality ratio has come down to around 2.6, 2.7. So consistently there has been improvement in terms of statistics related to positivity and fatality ratio. As far as confirmed positive cases are concerned, we have launched Mission Break the Chain. The idea behind this particular initiative was trying to reach out to public, testing them early, identifying them early. So when we see how COVID is being managed all over the world, not just Maharashtra or not just India for that matter, whichever area we see is getting some success. If we talk of Maharashtra, take example like Malegaon or Dharavi. The reason behind whatever success they have achieved is early detection. So it is very crucial to reach out to public, to urge public to get themselves tested, one. And secondly, we need to ramp up the testing capacity so that the turnaround time, right from sample is taken till we get the result, that is brought down as much as possible. So in that sense, we have been able to achieve some success over the period of last 2 to 3 weeks. And now I'm very happy to say that our turnaround time has come down to less than 24 hours. We have been able to give immediate result because of antigen test as well. And early detection is really helping us in managing cases in a better way and bringing the death rate down.
So brief us on what is NMMC's COVID action plan and how far has it progressed in its implementation?
As I just mentioned, Mission Break the Chain was launched by NMMC. The philosophy was first and foremost to bring down death rate, case fatality rate to be precise. Because number of confirmed positive cases should not be the only concern or should not be the only criteria by which we are judging how COVID management is being implemented. Case fatality ratio is very important, and if we are in a position to bring it down to first of all state average and then to national average and then to further wherever, I mean whichever, if you ask me, ideally we should try to bring it down to 0 or bring it down as low as possible. In that sense, that is my foremost objective, to bring down case fatality rate, and we have been able to bring it under control over the period of last 2 to 3 weeks through early detection. We have increased our testing capacity from 400 to 500 to more than 2500. So we have increased testing by almost 5 times now, and that has helped us to bring down case positivity ratio. But then, one of the fallouts is number of confirmed positive cases are slightly increasing. But then there is a slight trade-off between number of confirmed positive cases as well as number of deaths being reported. If you want to reduce number of deaths being reported, then there might be slight increase in number of confirmed positive cases, because earlier the approach was testing maximum symptomatic people, which still is there. I mean, we need to test as many symptomatic as possible without even going further into details of the symptom. But then we shouldn't limit our testing only to symptomatic people. We need to test as many asymptomatic, not at random. There has to be some pattern. For example, somebody has come into contact with somebody, or somebody is living in a containment area. But we need to test asymptomatic people. We need to identify, find, confirm positive as early as possible, isolate them and treat. So after trying to bring down death rate, as far as confirmed positive case is concerned, our philosophy regarding COVID management is test, isolate and treat. We need to test as many people as possible, isolate them early and treat them. And then comes a part of clinical management of critically ill patient. Because whatever efforts we are putting in identifying a confirmed positive case early and isolating them as early as possible, everybody's body is different. Everybody reacts to virus in a different way. So invariably few cases are going to get critical. It doesn't matter how many early you try to identify them. But it doesn't mean that every critically ill patient should get more critical. If the clinical management is implemented in a proper way, we still can recover many critical patients. And that is why the aspect of clinical management is very important. And there we are taking help of experts, because now, when we started seeing COVID patients, say in March, the virus was new. And we were just looking at whatever has been happening in India as well as other countries in order to understand how patients are being treated clinically. But now, fortunately, it's been more than 4 months and we have got to know more about virus, how people are reacting, and what are the clinical protocol in order to, recover critical patients. So that way I would say now we are better equipped. We are focusing more on discussions among senior physicians so that these best practices can be disseminated, discussed. The challenging patient situations which they see, they are discussed more, and they are come out with the most optimum set of treatment protocol which can be implemented in our hospitals.
With coronavirus infections surging, reports reveal that hospitals are overcrowding and are falling short of beds. They lack ventilators, they lack proper medical equipment along with sanitation and hygiene. So what is NMMC doing about it?
Availability of beds is a very crucial issue. When we look at COVID management in terms of availability of beds, 2 types of beds are needed: oxygen bed as well as ICU beds. In some of the cases, even normal bed is required. For example, COVID care center, or for that matter, a quarantine facility where normal bed is required. But most importantly, if number of oxygen bed as well as number of ICU bed is not in a sufficient number, that really adds to the problem. Patients which otherwise, if they get access to the proper facility right on time, should recover, there are chances that they might become more critical. So it is very pertinent to make these 2 kinds of beds available, and fortunately we have been able to take care of number of oxygen beds. As on today, more than 35% of oxygen bed capacity available in Navi Mumbai is available. And again, I am very happy to say that among this 35%, more than 30% are available with corporation. So as far as oxygen bed availability is concerned, people don't need to rely on private hospital, and moreover people don't need to worry that much because more than 35% are available. but there is no scope for complacency. We need to keep on adding to the bed capacity because we don't know how the virus is going to turn out in the future. But the problem still remains that of ICU bed, because occupancy of ICU bed has been hovering around between 90 to 95%. And 90 to 95% occupancy is very critical. If at all in a particular day more than 10-15 patients become critical, it really gets difficult to find an ICU bed, and sometimes we might land up in a position where patient might be shifted to nearby facility in other corporation or in Mumbai, and which again becomes difficult because time is wasted in that. So we have been trying to make more ICU beds available. Recently we have entered into an agreement with D.Y. Patil Hospital, wherein we have urged them to make 200 ICU beds available, which they are going to do, and then that facility will be treated as a corporation facility. In terms of their patients will not be charged anything. Corporation will be taking care of payments through, first of all, Mahatma Phule Jan Arogya Yojana, and whoever is not covered under Jan Arogya Yojana, corporation could pitch in. But because of D.Y. Patil Hospital, the 200 bedded ICU facility, I am very sure that immediately over the period of say next 30 days, we are going to have tremendous relief in terms of availability of ICU bed. But as I just mentioned, by the way, when I say ICU bed is accompanied by necessary number of ventilators. So when I say 200 bed would be added in D.Y. Patil Hospital, even necessary number of ventilators would be taken care of. But as I just said, there is no space for complacency. We need to keep on adding to number of oxygen bed as well as ICU bed, because right now there are around 4,000 active patients. We don't know how many are going to be there, and we should be prepared for the worst and hope that situation doesn't go that worse.
With your arrival, antigen testings were introduced in Navi Mumbai, but now questions are being raised over the 100% accuracy of these tests. What do you have to say about it?
See, antigen test is being discussed widely in media, but we need to, factor in a particular thing about antigen test. As far as sensitivity of antigen test is concerned, there could be some doubt in terms of how effective or how sensitive antigen test is vis-a-vis RT-PCR test. But as far as specificity of antigen test is concerned, there is no doubt at all. Just to put in a layperson's language, antigen test, if it is giving a positive result, that is considered to be 100% positive. So a positive on antigen test, there is no doubt at all. That is 100% positive. In case of negative on antigen test, there might be chances that it could be false negative. Now what is the percentage? That could be debated. But as far as positive on antigen is concerned, there is no doubt at all. And that is the sole purpose we are going ahead with antigen test. Antigen test helps us in finding a confirmed positive case very early, and that is having a psychological impact on suspect patients as well, because earlier the turnaround time was very big. Now we have added RT-PCR lab. That will help us for RT-PCR as well to bring it down to 24 hours. But for a suspect patient, 24 hours, because of that anxiety becomes very traumatic. And moreover, those 24 hours are very crucial for us to do contact tracing, to identify contacts, having them isolated. When a result can be seen within half hour, why should we wait for 24 hours? That is why we are focusing more on antigen tests. However, while we are doing antigen tests, we need to understand that every negative is not a confirmed negative. So among negative, as per protocol, all symptomatic patients samples need to be sent for RT-PCR. So not a single symptomatic negative patient on antigen be left out, and the sample must be sent for RT-PCR for confirmation. Moreover, fortunately our RT-PCR lab has just started. So even apart from symptomatic, wherever we feel that there is some doubt about not in terms of result, but in terms of the proximity of the patient to the confirmed suspect to the confirmed positive case, or living for a larger duration in containment area, we might take a call of sending the sample to RT-PCR. But in terms of specificity, there is no doubt about goodness of antigen test.
So how is NMMC's controlling and monitoring being taken care in containment zones?
Containment zone area management has been a philosophy of COVID management right since March. ICMR has been emphasizing, and rightfully so. Just the difference is now containment areas have been increasing. There was a time we used to have containment areas in double or triple digit. Now it is still in triple digit, but the number has increased so much. So there are various categories of containment zone, and that sanctity of containment zone is very important. So ever since I have joined, I have been sensitizing ward officers and medical officers about what is containment zone. Most importantly, see, we need to understand the concept behind containment zone. How do we identify, and most importantly, how do we define perimeter? It should not be too big to manage, and it should not be too small to be ineffective. And striking this balance is very difficult. But unless we understand the concept, we will not be able to do that. And the level at which it is done is ward. So ward officer should be aware. So I have been, going to ward offices, taking meeting of police and corporation personnel together, and explaining to them, discussing with them how containment area and how perimeter of containment area should be fixed. So fortunately, there has been some clarity now among ward officer, ward level officials, and even among police officials. Once we decide perimeter, we need to, the entry and exit from containment area should be very much restricted. Availability of essential supplies, of course, need to be given in the containment area. But then other movements should be almost brought down to zero, so that the purpose is virus should be contained, not just in that area. The purpose is not that once we have contained the area, whatever happens within the area, we should let it happen. Purpose is virus should not, come out of that perimeter as far as possible, and then within that perimeter, you increase your screening and surveillance so much. Try to identify, test so many people and try to identify them early so that they are isolated and they are treated, that it becomes easier for you to manage it. Unless that containment, if that containment area was not there, it could have, spread at a much larger rate. So that is the idea, concept behind containment area, and we have been able to do it fairly good.
So as COVID-induced lockdown has slashed incomes and jobs, parents are now finding it difficult to bear the pressure that schools and colleges mount on them to pay for their children's fees. What is your take on this? How are you planning to address this? Are such actions of educational institutions being held accountable?
We have been getting complaint about pressure being put by private schools as far as fees is concerned. So we have, issued notices as well. We have been issuing circulars, general circulars, and still wherever we get some complaint, we have been issuing notices to private schools as well. Private schools have been sensitized enough, and we will keep doing that because this is a difficult time. We need to understand. And government has been issuing so many directions out of its purview as well sometime, just to address the problems being faced, because this is the extraordinary situation. And livelihoods are getting affected big time, and that way, as far as education, school education is concerned, attitude of private school should be, very considerate, and that we will ensure.
We are adding about 250 to 350 coronavirus cases each day. Questions are now arising that is NMMC aggressively fighting the COVID battle, and does it has its COVID action plan in place? Because if yes, then why are coronavirus infections not plunging low?
See, I just mentioned that number of confirmed positive cases should not be the only criteria by which we are judging are we going in the right direction. If that was the case, then when number is low, number of confirmed positive cases low, why was the death rate increasing? Unfortunately, there is a trade-off to begin with. This trade-off, by the way, if you consider the COVID pattern, this trade-off is not eternal. We will reach a stage when both death rate and confirmed positive cases would be increasing, and that would be the ideal scenario. And it will take some time. But right now we are in that phase where number of confirmed positive are increasing, and we are trying to bring down the death rate, and both are in sync with each other. Unless we identify the patient early, for example, police testing. We, along with the police commissionerate, started active screening of police. So positivity was quite less, but still positivity could be 5 to 10%. Doesn't matter how much positivity is there. We need to do extensive testing and try to identify every positive person, so that, be it asymptomatic person, so that the person is isolated and the further spread is restricted. So number of confirmed positive could be increasing, I keep saying. But then, are we doing enough to control other statistics? Are we doing enough in terms of surveillance and screening within containment as well as outside containment? We should not limit our screening and surveillance activity to containment only. For example, we have started a testing center in APMC now. Now, APMC is considered to be a big concern for Navi Mumbai because daily footfall is so much. And whatever measures are taken, the social distancing is being, tried to be followed, but they have got their own limitations, and we keep getting complaints. So we have started a dedicated antigen testing center for APMC, and we are testing more than 500 per day. So through that particular center, we keep getting positive cases which are asymptomatic, which otherwise would have gone unnoticed. And this testing capacity would be increasing. We are presently as 2500 on an average. Now we have started our own RT-PCR lab. The capacity is more than one. That is, by the way, is a state-of-the-art, fully automatic, very good quality lab, and more than 1000 capacity is there within 24 hours. And we are trying to increase. Presently, we are having 22 centers where we are taking doing antigen tests. Now, proactively, we will start going to various societies for doing antigen tests, because now spread is among societies as well. And there are so many things which we will do in order to increase antigen testing. And this testing capacity per day would go increase further. Now, if we go from 2500 to 3500, even if you consider a positivity ratio of 10%, we will get 350. If that positivity rate is 15%, we will get more. So, number of confirmed positive are definitely going to go up. So, number of confirmed positive was increasing, but shouldn't be interpreted in terms of spread of virus. We need to understand spread of virus is already there in the population. We are just trying to catch them in order to isolate and treat.
The Turbhe pattern is setting an example and it is being spoken of by many. What is your perspective on it?
See, this screening and surveillance activity has been done very actively in Turbhe, and we are getting result. There was a time, Indiranagar slum particularly, we were reporting so many deaths, but now for last 1 month there has not been any death in particular Indiranagar slum and larger area around that. And even cases, new cases which are getting reported, even that has fallen down. The same we can observe, say, in Dharavi, or that has been observed in Malegaon as well. I just mentioned these two areas. So, these areas show that active surveillance and active screening really helps. And, if you see number of unfortunate deaths which are being reported, more than 70% cases are that of comorbid people or senior citizen. But this should not be a justification of whatever deaths are being reported. Every comorbid and senior citizen doesn't mean that the person should get critical. If we try to identify early and start treating early, there are every chances that every comorbid and senior citizen also, without getting critical, they can recover from COVID. And that is the reason why we need active surveillance. Sometimes in a congested area, surveillance becomes easy. They have got these areas have their own advantages because properly they are living in a dense area. But again, I would say that active screening and surveillance definitely gives results.
NMMC finally has its own COVID lab. How is this going to support and strengthen your mission in breaking the COVID transmission chain in Navi Mumbai?
I just mentioned that we have started our own lab now, and which has a capacity of more than 1000 tests per day. Fortunately, because of antigen, load on RT-PCR has already decreased. This lab is very economical in terms of, funds otherwise we would be spending if we are sending samples to private lab. That way, this is a very economical lab, and moreover, the machinery which we have purchased is not useful only for COVID. Once COVID is over, that same machinery can be used for many other tests, including HIV and up to cancer as well. So, as far as COVID management is concerned, we have created our own capacity of 1000 per day. The turnaround time has been brought down to less than 24 hours now, even for RT-PCR. And this really is going to help us, because all said and done, as per ICMR guideline, RT-PCR remains to be a gold standard of COVID testing. So for any case where we are having any doubt, we need to go for RT-PCR test. And there we should not depend on any other facility, because this lab is in our premise. The lab is managed by our own people. The in-charge officer of lab is a corporation employee. So this really makes difference, because we are not at all dependent on somebody. We don't keep waiting for result. Everything is in our control. And that way, this lab will really help us in further managing cases better and identifying confirmed positive.
As NMMC Chief, what are your top priorities while Navi Mumbai is battling COVID out?
Presently, COVID is the priority, because when people are dying, unfortunately, your priorities cannot be misplaced. So bringing down death rate is, as I mentioned, is the foremost priority. Apart from COVID, there are few non-COVID emergency issues which need to be taken care of. Unfortunately, this time rainfall has been very scanty, and that way our dam is also filled to a 50% capacity only, so that remains to be a worry. I wouldn't say presently we need to worry, because we still got some hope that more than almost 2 months of rainfall still is there, and we are keeping our fingers crossed. So we hope that we should be able to get sufficient rainfall, and we should not be able to face any situation like water scarcity, but that remains to be seen. And there are few other non-COVID works which are of emergency nature, but then I would say that right now, not just health department, be it any department, every person, every officer, every employee of corporation is involved into COVID, and everybody is doing tremendous job. I must mention my medical team is very motivated, especially the medical officers which are working at cutting edge. They are so much motivated, tirelessly they are working on every day without taking a single day's holiday. But still nobody complains, and most importantly, everybody is stressed out, no doubt about that. But then they understand what is their responsibility. And I must mention, be it government facility or private facility, a mention also need to be made of people or the medical and paramedical staff who are actually working in COVID wards. And a thought needs to be given regarding them, because they are with whatever protective equipments, they are daily going in COVID wards and treating patients. They got their families back home, and still, of course, it puts some pressure on them, but we must appreciate the efforts being put by every person who is doing their bit in managing COVID crisis.
What message or appeal you would like to give to citizens amid COVID times?
Corporation is doing whatever they can. Police are going out of the way and trying to do, their duty. But ultimately, if we want to contain COVID and win over the crisis, it can only be done through citizen participation. We have seen this in Dharavi, we have seen this in Malegaon, in Turbe as well. Wherever people have started responding to whatever appeals we make, wherever people have started showing self-discipline. Self-discipline in terms of not going out if it's not totally important, following social distancing, washing your hands time to time, sanitizer. These are few things, very simple things, and wearing mask, very important. These are very simple things, but this is the new normal now. And this is how, when everybody start doing it, I keep saying that it starts from you as a person, then your family, your friends, your colleagues, your society. And this is how it is spread. So this positivity should be, spread from action, deeds of every single person. And situation is not that grim as we consider, because unfortunately few deaths are being reported, but simultaneously there are so many people who are recovering. Our recovery rate has gone more than 74% now. I am very sure it will still further increase. People, even after becoming COVID positive, are responding very positively, and that way everybody needs to be very cautious, not fearful, but definitely cautious, because casual attitude doesn't pay. We need to understand how the virus works, and we need to respond accordingly. So I am very sure if people show self-discipline, we should be able to give some result.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us your time and speaking to NMTV.